In the stream.
We always do. We're going to bring up Charlie. Charlie is next at bat, not that one. Charlie, are you here to debate?
Yes.
Okay, Charlie, can I just get your age and pronouns, please?
27, he, him.
Okay, Charlie, 27, he, him. Charlie, what I see here that you want to talk about topic number 6, the rights hypocrisy after Kirk's death. I believe it was an embarrassment. I believe Forrest probably agrees with me that it was an embarrassment. I assume you disagree with us.
I don't think they have any shame to be embarrassed with.
Damn true.
I do disagree. Yeah, I think it's the inverse. I think it's the left's hypocrisy after Charlie Kirk's death is the true embarrassment.
Sure. What hypocrisy have you seen out of the left?
What exactly? That was exactly what I was going to ask. Yeah.
So in regards to the weaponization of empathy, in regards to basically how the left is kind of now, they pick and choose when they want to wave the flag of free speech. And in regards to what the FCC chairman did, whether he had a hand to play in Jimmy Kimmel's firing or not, which I think there may or may not be a direct correlation, but the things that Jimmy Kimmel said on his show, and then he subsequently got fired, and then you have people making GoFundMes, and they're trying to, basically trumpet like, hey, like it's not cool, like he should be able to say what he wants. Back in 2016 and 2017, it was the same people on the left that were telling us that we shouldn't be able to say what we want. If we make an edgy joke or post an edgy meme or say something that, they just don't like, and it just hurts their feelings, then they have every right to, fire you, dox you, ruin your life. And Charlie, the right didn't start cancel culture. The left.
Hold on, Charlie, because you've said a lot. I've written down the things you've said. I want to go through them beat by beat. So I don't want us to get too in the weeds before we can do that. First of all, you're talking about weaponization of empathy. I don't think anybody's doing this. When we're talking about left versus right, when I talk about the right, I'm primarily talking about the right in a sense of a larger governing body. So if you're just talking people on the left, like who aren't empathetic that Charlie died, or people on the left who don't seem to care, or people on the left that's celebrating it, I personally don't care about that. I don't care if an individual is doing that. I wouldn't care if an individual on the right is doing that. But I do think it's different when we look at government officials and what's come out of out of officials in government, what's come out of political pundits, what's come out of the larger voices is pretty staggering. Everybody on the left has basically said, hey, gun violence is an issue. Charlie Kirk shouldn't have died. Let's find a resolution so this doesn't happen again. Everybody on the right said, let's start a war with the left. Second of all, you said that we pick and choose freedom, our free speech because of what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. And you've acknowledged that there could have been a hand in here. If the FCC chairman is responsible, which I believe he is because he told ABC that they would face repercussions if they don't get rid of Kimmel. So that would be a direct violation of free speech. That is a governing body because the FCC is a federal government institution telling a broadcast network what they can and cannot have on the air. And nothing Jimmy Kimmel said goes against FCC standards. So he didn't say anything that was against that. Second, I don't think he said anything bad at all. He didn't say anything negative about Kirk. He only talked about Donald Trump. So if you can point out to me like what he said that was so edgy, I would love to hear it. All he did was play two clips of Donald Trump being asked about Kirk and critiqued the way Donald Trump responded to that. So if Forrest, if you want to add to that, Forrest, before we let Charlie go, but then Charlie, you can respond to what I said.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference here that I think is missing, and this is something that's very frequently missing in this discourse, is that like when we talk about the left making jokes about Charlie Kirk's death and everything like this, like there's a major difference between like dark humor and whatnot versus like actually celebrating death itself. There's a big difference between being like having no sympathy for Charlie Kirk and continuing to criticize him the way that I did when he was alive. He was a racist. He was a misogynist. He was a fucking loser. He was a terrible debater. He was an asshole in every way. And now he's dead, and no part of his death absolves him from what a fucking irredeemable piece of trash he was when he was alive. That kind of thing, that's consistent. That is the free speech we're talking about. And no part of that is calling for anyone to be hurt or killed or celebrating the gun violence that I've made a point to say negative things about and to call out and to try to fight against for my entire career. Compare that now to Nancy Mace as a great example, I think, of what we're talking about when we talk about like the right's hypocrisy. The moment Charlie Kirk was dead, Nancy Mace came out on camera and said, we need the death penalty immediately. This person is a leftist and a liberal. She started calling this person slurs, saying they're either trans or they're a trans supporter, all these horrible things, assuming that this person was a super liberal, left-leaning trans person who needs to be publicly executed. And then the second that the picture came out showing that it was a white boy, she said that if she had just met Charlie, he never would have done this, and we need to love him and hope he finds Jesus like Charlie would have wanted to. And what we need to do now is pray for this young man. Totally different change, completely fucking 180 change in tone once she learned that this person wasn't somebody that she hates. So that's what we're talking about here. When we talk about the left, we're talking about some people who are celebratory and relieved over the fact that the harm that Charlie Kirk caused is over, but nobody with a brain is happy that he was murdered, happy about more gun violence, happy about another school shooting. Meanwhile, the response from the right has been, if you say anything negative about this person, even if you post the words he himself said, you should be fired, you should be doxxed, you should be put on a list. And you should, and then we have people calling for excuses and shit. I hope that elucidates where we're coming from a little bit.
No, I completely understand, but that's the groundwork, the tools, the framework, the weaponization of words. It wasn't started by the right. It started in what, 2016, 2017 with cancel culture from the left. And that's my point. Is that we just took what the left started and ran with it. And if you don't want to play by those rules, then you should have written the damn rule book.
Charlie, that's not true. Because if Jimmy Kimmel had just been taken off the air because his ratings were bad, or because people stopped watching him, or because they just said, "Hey, I think it's time we really not." Hold on. He was the second highest. He was the second highest late night show on TV. So if he had not come on and said anything about Kirk, would he still be on the air right now? The answer is yes. So it's not a ratings thing, right? It is only because of Kirk. If it was a ratings thing, he would have finished out his season, and then they would have said, "Hey, we're not going to renew for the next season. We're not going to do it." He still has a contract. He's still contracted. His show isn't even technically canceled. It's on indefinite hiatus because the FCC chair and the conservative affiliates of ABC are trying to strong arm Jimmy Kimmel into an apology, which he's not doing. But again, if it had just been these things like, "Hey, people are stopped watching, so we're going to cancel the show." You said something that goes against FCC rules specifically, like you kept cursing on air and they kept charging us thousands of dollars, or you showed nudity on air, or you showed graphic violence on air, so you went against these FCC standards, so we're going to take you off the air. No, a chairman of a government organization told Jimmy Kimmel, or told ABC, that if they didn't get rid of Kimmel, essentially, they would face repercussions. And then hours after saying this, they made the decision to indefinitely pause his show. That is freedom of speech, quite literally being targeted by a governing body. If he had just been canceled by people online, I wouldn't have given a shit. I would be like, okay, you said something people didn't like, and they aren't supporting you anymore. If he had been said something people didn't like, so he got kicked off of Twitter, I wouldn't have given a shit. Right? Because those are public institutions or public corporations exercising their right to do that. That's not what happened. A governing body took him off the air because he said something they didn't like. And you can't, I don't think you can tell me, Charlie. No. Charlie, I don't think you can tell me.
There's 1 degree of separation here.
There isn't. The FCC is a governing body. It's a federal government organization. It's not an independent.
No, it wasn't. It hasn't been it hasn't gone to the yet. It hasn't gone to the chairman yet. It hasn't been like a rule that they make.
No,
he hasn't done anything to go against FCC guidelines.
He made a public statement. No. The chair of the FCC made a public statement. No, wait. The chair of the FCC made a public statement. He said publicly that if ABC doesn't punish Jimmy Kimmel, the entirety of ABC will face repercussions. He said this publicly. Before they put his show on pause, the chair of the FCC said this. And then, what was it, 3 hours later? 3 hours later. Meanwhile, a host on Fox News can say, kill homeless people, and all he got is a slap on the wrist and had to apologize. Kimmel,
That's exactly what I was about to bring up.
What is it that Kimmel said that deserved his show canceled? He didn't say anything negative about Kirk. He didn't say one thing negative.
He could have.
Absolutely.
No,
I assume South Park's going to.
No. It was look. Part of the FCC is, and I could be entirely ignorant on this, but you cannot knowingly spread false information as something that the taxpayers pay for, especially in news. Yeah, he's a comedian, but it's ABC. It's technically it's a talk show host, and all the talk shows do is they talk about news. They talk about news in an edgy, funny way.
Jimmy Kimmel is not classified as a news organization. And even then, you're sitting here saying you should be taken off the air if you spread misinformation. Why is Fox News still on the air? They literally lost a defamation lawsuit because they were knowingly spreading misinformation. They're still on the air. Now
they literally
go ahead, Boris.
I was going to say Fox News, it was during Tucker Carlson's show. Their argument in court was that no reasonable person would believe what we're saying. Therefore, it's not really spreading false information.
Slightly different.
Same defense that Coca-Cola gave when they were sued over fucking Propel energy water. And they were like, no reasonable person would believe that this fucking Coke water is actually good for you. It's just marketing. And they won.
It was a little different. It was a little different. They said that Tucker Carlson's show, because it's essentially an op-ed, that it shouldn't classify under news like a same news program would. Which I would say is the same argument that you can use for Live with Jimmy Kimmel. It's a late night show. He was doing an opening monologue. And he didn't even say anything that was misinformation.
Then it won't be on hiatus anymore. It can be.
But he also didn't say anything that was misinformation.
Come back. It's not like he's.
Why would he go back at this point? He knows that ABC is going to. He knows ABC is going to not side with him, and they're gonna side with Trump, only because they want the FCC to approve a merger that they have on the books. That's the only reason they did it. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're not actually conservative. They don't care. They'll side with whatever party is lining their pockets. So because they need FCC approval for a merger that they have coming up, I don't remember the two parties. It's not Skydance. That's CBC and CS. What? Whatever that's the Colbert one. Like twice in 1 year, a company has essentially sacked an employee because they want FCC approval for a merger. But at the end of the day, if the only way that they could get the FCC's approval is sacking someone the FCC doesn't like, and the FCC is a governing organization, because Kimmel, again, didn't say any misinformation. He said MAGA is trying to distance themselves and make it look like the shooter is not MAGA. That is true. They are trying to do that. Whether he is or is not MAGA,
but he's not MAGA, so that was misinformation.
Nobody knows because
not true. And when he said it,
we don't know what the shooter is because they haven't asked the fucking shooter.
No. You said anyone with a brain would not do anything evil or not have any of these dumb ideas, or anyone on the left that you would not have to have a brain to believe that the dude wasn't on the left. The dude didn't have these leftist ideologies. The dude, they wanted to say he was some dude that was
very easily
a Nick Fuentes freak, Nick Fuentes. No.
Charlie, as a 27-year-old, are you aware of what groypers even are?
Groyper is? I heard of what a groyper was like last week. That was the first time I heard what the fuck a groyper was.
I've been on the internet for fucking
Tyler Robinson is not a fucking groyper.
I've been on the internet. We don't know. Do you know how we could know? If somebody fucking asks him. but they don't. Instead, the FBI releases text messages that are really fucking suspicious. Look, I don't like Candace Owens, but she's doing better investigative journalism about this fucking shooting than the fucking FBI is.
You think fucking Israel fucking killed Charlie Kirk? That bitch is crazy.
I don't necessarily
that was
think
the whole point of him
angry.
saying that the whole reason he just said that was to say this crazy person is saying something that's more reasonable. The point is, we have not gotten an actual statement from the actual perpetrator here, so we don't know what his actual motivation was from his own mouth. But no matter where he is on this, the point remains, all Jimmy Kimmel said was that the MAGA is trying to distance themselves from this person and make people say that this person is not MAGA, which is true no matter what. And at the end of the day, even if that wasn't true,
not, and he won't ever be. He's not. He won't ever be. Like Destiny. Destiny grew up in a conservative Christian household, and Destiny is the most far left freak on the internet. Like you don't like that's not an argument to say that the dude is MAGA.
Charlie, you are just yelling now. You're missing what we're saying and just yelling. I need you to calm the fuck down, okay? All we're saying is that what Jimmy Kimmel said either what Jimmy Kimmel said was or wasn't true. Genuinely doesn't fucking matter. What he said was true. It was just a blanket statement that doesn't really mean that much. But even if it wasn't, even if he came out and said the killer was Santa Claus, and we all know this now, and said some complete bullshit, that isn't a reason to indefinitely suspend his show, especially when compared to what Jovan already brought up a minute ago, which is that in the same week, a Fox News host said that we should be rounding up homeless people and murdering them and giving them involuntary lethal injections. The government should just kill all the homeless people. And what he had to do was come out and make an apology and say, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. And the show continues. And he continues as a host. This is very clearly politically motivated reduction of free speech.
Yes, I do. Okay, I can agree on that part. I don't think that host should have said those things and should also be fired or lose their job or not be on air, because it's public interest. It's all things that fall within the purview of public interest. Like if they're on Twitter, or like what Jovan said, like if they're on a social platform, I don't care what they say, right? Because it's social platforming. It's the internet, it's the media, and they're not beholden to the taxpayers' dollars. And if the taxpayer is the one that is funding these programs and what they see on TV, and the contracts go out to these smaller corporations that will put them on American television for the public to see, then I don't think that they should just, be able to say whatever the hell they want to say and not beholden to the taxpayers.
Great. That is the entire point of the FCC.
Yes.
Also,
we have an organization that handles
and
that,
if you're going to spread
and now they're doing a bad job.
If you're going to, okay, yes, okay.
If the FCC has rules against information, misinformation? Why is Trump allowed to speak? Period. Like this is so crazy. So first and foremost, when it comes to the FCC regulating things, they do not have a regulation against misinformation because it's not something that can be regulated because it's classified under freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Now, they can set some rules when it comes to whether whether what you're saying incites a level of violence or public harm. That's totally different. They can say, yes, you're spreading misinformation and this information is going to lead to public harm. Then they can place rules on that. None of that is what happened here. And even Forrest's thing about Nancy Mace goes to show what Kimmel said, whether the guy is MAGA or not, right? What happened was, before they knew the identity of the shooter, MAGA tried to claim it was trans people. They literally were like, they wrote trans on the bullet. No, they didn't. Then, as soon as the identity of MAGA came out, they completely distanced themselves. They said, "Oh, he actually, we don't know. We need to be careful. We need to,
Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Isn't Notice This Bulges Ooh Woo a furry transgender meme?
It's a meme.
Is it or is it not?
No.
What
it usually is, it's a meme talk. I won't say it's used by trans people or not. It's a meme like circulating that why is the right always looking at people's genitals? That's it. Furry? No, it has nothing to do with furries.
I heard that it was a meme that was used by far-right people to make fun of trans people, but that was just what I heard on TikTok. I don't know about it, so I'm not going to say for sure.
No. The right would not, like, the right, at least as far as I know, the political right, they have no clue what the fuck any of that shit means. Bella Ciao Ciao Ciao. What's Bella Ciao Ciao Ciao?
A song.
Yeah, once again, this is something that has been used. This is a song that has been used by leftists recently, but again, everything that and again, I don't know for sure, but what I'm hearing from the legal pages that I follow is that this is something that I don't know why you're laughing when I'm just giving you what I've heard, because I'm trying to give you my example of like what I've learned. Weird that you would laugh at that. Is that far-right people, and I mean extreme far-right, like talking Groyper people, are now trying to co-opt that song, and that they have their own remix of it that they are now reusing to try to take it from the left. Again, same thing with this meme that is meant to make fun of furries and equate them to trans people. So like,
let me just be real clear about something. Wait.
You're being incredibly bad.
Stop. Let me be very clear about something.
I literally didn't make a claim.
I think it's most likely the case, right, that the shooter was not right. I think it's most likely the case that the shooter was on the left. It would surprise me, surprise me, if the shooter was on the right. Even when it first happened, my thought was it would be really weird if somebody on the right did this, unless that person was like super into Fuentes, because quite literally on the 7th, it was either the 6th or the 7th, Fuentes made this giant, like 20-minute tirade about how fucking terrible Kirk is, how terrible Kirk is for the country, how Kirk is this, how days before he was shot. Now, would that shock me if the guy was on the right? Yes. But at the end of the day, the problem is that MAGA still tried to distance themselves from this, right? And whether or not he was MAGA or not doesn't classify as misinformation that Kimmel was saying. Kimmel did not present some misinformation when all of the information coming about the guy has been saying both things. We've heard his fucking family members say, no, everyone in our family is on the right. We've heard his friends say he has been ultra conservative and support. So like at the end of the day, the only thing that can disprove this is if the shooter releases a statement and tells us exactly what his political affiliation is, exactly what he believes, or he had some sort of manifesto that he could drop beforehand. Crazy that none of that has happened, that the FBI hasn't just been like, hey, tell us, and we'll let people know what you said. But at the end of the day,
the only reason why
he's being uncooperative, which who knows.
The only reason why I'm so, I guess, frustrated and apologize for being emotional is it's gotten to a turning point at this point where I don't believe you. I don't believe those on the left that say, oh, I need this amount of evidence, when you're so quick and instances in the past, like with Kyle Rittenhouse.
What did I just say, bro? I just said it is most likely. I literally just said it's most likely that he's on the left. Like, I literally just said that. I said it would shock the shit out of me.
You need his own words. You need him to say something. You need him.
Yes,
you need his
evidence.
I think that I
need the person who did it to tell me why they did it, right? Like the dude that shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand. I would want him to tell me why before I make any fucking jumps to conclude. Anything else is just speculation, and it can be speculation based on evidence. It can be an educated guess. It's still a fucking guess if it doesn't come out the horse's mouth. But
I never made a claim. I told you what I have heard from other legal analysis from other people who are equally out of the loop from me. I'm not on super far right, 4chan, whatever the fuck. I don't do that shit. So I'm going based on what other people are telling me, and that's what I communicated to you, while being very clear that this is the analysis I've heard online, and I don't know if it's true, and you accuse me of being fucking dishonest about it. I don't know what you want from me here.
But we were paid to move on, so I'll give you a chance to say one final thing, Charlie. But then we got to move to the next caller.
I appreciate that. Look, at this point, the turning point, political fucking temperature is way too hot. Obviously, I'm too hot. Very emotional. Don't know how to process.
Go tell your president to turn it down.
I'm really fed up with how things are going, so I apologize.
Well, Charlie,
it's fine.
We have to move on, but I do want to just say, if the political temperature is super hot right now, go tell Trump to turn it down. He's the president. He's made no effort to even remotely try to turn down the political temperature. All he has done is tried to turn it up. He has made no whatsoever. So thank you for calling in, Charlie.
And back in 2018, when explosive devices were sent to 10 different Democrats and the news asked Trump about it, and he said, the problem is you guys are giving it so much attention. And they asked him, do you worry about the ramping up of political violence and political rhetoric? And he said, no, ramp it up more. Sorry, it's not our fault that we're here.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing for your daily dose of debates. I post new videos daily, so make sure to hit that notification button so you know when a new one drops. Also, shout out to my YouTube members. Membership starts at $2.99 and helps me to continue making content for all of you. Also, shout out to my Tier 4 members, Gib5500, Ovaltine, Sylvia Snow, Bamji, Kelsey K, Kelsey Dooley, Jake Gorshender, Marceline, Matthew Holloway, Kazim, Vampy, and Yemye. Thank you, members, for your support.